Hello, so today we're going to be going over Let Him Cook. So this is a new portal that was added to the game that you can sit on. See, Let Him Cook, this is what we're getting. I hate it. Personally, it doesn't really appeal to my playstyle of the game or what I want to get out of a game or a session of TFT. But basically what it does, it gives you both a spatula and a frying pan. So I think it's really important to go over because there's like a couple strategies here, and I'm going to play one of the catch-all basic strategies you can play around Let 'Em Cook, because I think that the games are either going to be very dry, that there's not that much variation in how you're playing it, or they're going to be so ridiculously wild that you have to deal with it. Because basically, the way, if you don't know about it, this is something that's really important to understand. So you get a frying pan, you get a tactician's crown. I'm going to explain a reforger real fast, right? You might not know this, and if you do already, that's totally fine. But if you don't know this, with a reforger, a frying pan turns into a spatula, and a spatula turns into a frying pan. So this isn't some way of playing like some interesting comp, like you have a spat, you can play a +1 of a certain comp, and you have a frying pan, you can play a different +1, right? You can play like one of the gray emblems and one of the colorful emblems. I don't know what you want to call them, the uncraftables, previously uncraftables versus the craftables. That's not the strategy you employ, right? You basically have one of two strategies in this game. You're either combining these two things together and making a fawn, or making like a tactician's crown that gives you a +1 unit on your board, or you are reforging one of these to hit the max of a vertical trait. So for example, in this lobby, I guarantee you the winner will probably be 9 Fairy, because 9 Fairy is the strongest, and it's the cross between the strongest and the most reliable vertical trait. The only thing that can beat 9 Fairy, if you have 9 Fairy on your board, is some kind of crazy Exodia board or 10 Portal. But 10 Portal requires you to be level 10, while 9 Fairy only requires you to be level 9. So what happens in the lobby a lot of the time is that somebody, or you could play 8 Witchcraft or something like that, but you're never trying to make these into two separate emblems. That's not usually what you're trying to aim towards. You want to think about using a reforger and combining them together. And if you combine them together, you're either combining them together to play a very accelerated tempo game, or you're using them each to make a +2 of a vertical trait, and then you're either going to play 8 Witchcraft, 9 Frost, 9 Fairy, or 10 Portal. In this case, I don't have a spot because it's a silver augment. I don't have fairy units. I have witchcraft to a certain degree, but I don't feel comfortable playing around witchcraft because I find that it's generally weaker than the other ones. So this is the other strategy you can play. This is more my play style, so that's why I'm showing you this option as well. And this is actually a very default option. It might not seem very good, but you just combine them into a fawn or into a tactician's crown, whatever you want to call it. Here it's called tactician's cape because it's the spatula with the frying pan. What I'm doing here is I'm playing towards tempo, right? I'm tempo is used like willy-nilly, like everybody kind of uses it to mean different things. All I'm trying to say is that having a extra unit early game is gonna make you way stronger than most people, right? Me being able to play a whole ass Swain and a whole ass Nico with a backline, it's gonna be very hard, it's gonna be very hard for other people in the lobby to chew through my units. The people that are maybe like high rolling maybe will beat me, but according to most people in the lobby, I will be stronger than most of them. That is the strategy, right? I'm trying to punish the people that are greeding to play towards a vertical trait. I just talked about how 9 Fairy is very strong, 8 Witchcraft is very strong, 9 Frost is not as strong as 9 Fairy. It always loses to 9 Fairy, almost always, unless like they don't have upgrades or some shit. But you can play towards those augments. The thing is that if you're gonna play towards those, a lot of times, unless you have a really high roll opener, you're gonna greed. If you look at this guy, he's probably trying to play towards 9 Fairy or something of the such. He doesn't have the ability to play towards these vertical traits yet, because you have to use a lot of components to turn those into spatulas, right? Making it to 9 Fairy means that you not only have to get to level 9, hit all of the fairy units, you also have to use 2 item components to make the fairy emblems, and that might take you time. That might take you a certain amount of high rolling to get yourself in a spot that you can actually make them and still win rounds. What I'm doing is I'm basically playing with an extra unit, especially in early game where an extra unit is just really hard to deal with because obviously the damage is very low, items are not very high. It makes it so that I can more easily win rounds, and I'm going to win as many rounds as possible, and then I'm just going to survive with HP and bleed out to whatever top 4. The person that's going to win this lobby is most likely not going to be me. It's most likely going to be somebody who either makes it to 10 Portal, 9 Frost, or 9 Fairy, or 8 Witchcraft. But what I am doing is I'm trying to be as strong as possible in the early game to circumvent me having an issue late game. So this is usually the strategy you should employ. If you have a spot where you think that you can play towards a vertical trait and you think the vertical trait will win you the game, you can play for the win, but there is a chance that you go bot 4. With all of the emblems, for example, as broken as 9 Fairy is, you need to find a Milio. And if you don't find a Milio, you might just be sitting on 7 Fairy while other people are having these extremely strong boards. That's why I really don't find this lobby fun, because when you get these things, you're basically just like crossing your fingers and hoping that you have a good opener, or you have to play in a very dry, not fun way, which is like playing with this Tactician's crown. I find that it's just not fun either way, whether I'm winning or whether I'm losing. I'm not having that much fun, and I feel like you have to pick one of those 2 game plans, or else you're just going to be bot 4. You can't really like flex. I wouldn't suggest, like, there's obviously strategy around everything based on what you hit, but I wouldn't suggest making like non-vertical trait. For example, I've seen people play Fairy, and what they do is they make 1 Fairy emblem and 1 multi-striker emblem, because multi-striker you use the frying pan for, and then the spatula you can use for the Fairy +1. I wouldn't recommend doing any strategies like that, because you just won't be as high cap as a lot of the other boards. If you're playing towards the emblems, you're just going to eventually find a Reforger. It's very easy to find a Reforger in the set, by the way. It's very rare that you're ever not with a Reforger, because, you know, eventually your charms, you'll find one. And just sit until you can hit the vertical of the trait. Or if you're not playing towards a vertical trait, just make the Tactician's Cape or Tactician's Crown or whatever you want to call it. Get your extra +1 spot on your board, like as in having to be able to be playing an extra unit. And tempo the lobby as much as possible. Be stronger than most of the boards. Here, as you can see, my opener was very strong. I started with a Swain. I had a upgrade to, what's his name? Upgrade to Jace, and Jace upgrade is very, very strong. And I also had a decent backline. So as you can see here, I'm literally just playing shapeshifters, right? I have 4 shapeshifter in. I'm 6 units on level 5, and I'm win streaking the whole game. The only other guy that was as strong was the other guy that made a Tactician's Crown or Tactician's Cape, and that person I was able to beat because they didn't high roll into as strong of a unit. This guy, for example, he's 4 Preserver, but that's not going to matter until much late in the game. Preserver is a really good trait, don't get me wrong, but Preserver is held in high regards because of units like Morgana that make great use of the Preserver +1, right? Like, they make great use of those spats. Early game, there's not enough damage or tankiness with these other units. It's not going to help you in your early/mid game, right? The only things that really help you is stuff where you can either tailor it to an augment. So for example, if you're playing Frost, you might be able to get Frosty Frontline, which is a very strong augment. If you're playing Fairy, you might be able to get Royal Guard. Things like that really help out. And if you're playing those boards, and then you also get another +1. So for example, if you get like another spatula, if you're playing Fairy, you might tailor, you might get an augment drop that is a Fairy emblem. Then you have 3 Fairy emblems, and you don't need the Milio anymore, and you hit your win con a lot earlier. There's a lot of different strategies involved, but typically the strategy just boils down to, am I playing towards a vertical trait, or do I just make a Tactician's Crown and try and save as much HP as possible? In this case, like I said, as good as my spot is, I don't think I'm going to get first. I do not think I am playing for a first. What I am playing for is let the other people hit their crazy boards if they hit it. If they don't hit it, sure, I'll take a first. But I don't expect them to, I expect them to hit a board eventually. I expect there to be a 9 Fairy, or a 9 Frost, or a 9 something, or an 8 something, or a 10 something. And I'm just going to try and, for these early rounds, have so much HP that when that person hits 9 Fairy, they'll kill everybody in the lobby except me, because I have enough HP to survive a couple blows. That's the idea here. I'm making generic items. I'm thinking maybe I can play towards Frost, even though I don't have the Frost emblem. Because I made the Tactician's Crown. I can play towards some sort of line. I just want to slam items, right? I don't want to not slam items here. So I slam Bloodthirster. I don't necessarily want to make a Gnasher's Tooth because it doesn't do that much for me right now. And these components are very high value, right? A belt is really good for making anti-heal. A bow makes anti-heal as well as shred as well as sundering. It can make any of the 3. So they're very high value components. But with my remaining components, I'm not greeting any components, right? The strategy here is to always play your strongest board and to be very tempo based, right? You want to be ahead of the lobby in terms of how strong your board is so that you constantly are stronger than everybody else. So for example here, ideally I would pick an augment that is strong for me right now. Little Buddies is very strong, but Little Buddies doesn't help me that much right now. And it's just because of the, how do I phrase it? I don't have any Little Buddies. I don't have any units that are taking advantage of Little Buddies. So it would be good later, but I want to have something that helps me to be strong now, or helps me to like stabilize my board and be a little bit strong. This is why I'm debating, right? I rolled Little Buddies. I rolled these other ones. I'm trying to figure out what I can take. I'm too scared to roll Epoch. Instead, I just take Epoch because I'd rather just play an extra unit, right? If I just basically just get to go up one level. I get 3 free rerolls as well. I didn't use them because I was a little bit slow. But the idea is that I could try and mill the deck for a couple of extra units. Put an extra unit in because I got the XP while still having my HP. If I rolled a little bit faster, I would have had Swain too, which could make a difference in this fight in particular. I think it actually does because this guy made 2 warrior emblems. Warrior is one of those ones that you can make, right? Things like warrior and scholar. When I'm saying 9 fairy, 9 frost, I'm giving you guys like max cap ideas, but ideally you don't want to split them up. You want to make it so that your 2 emblems are the same emblem, right? You don't want to make like one with the frying pan, one with the spatula. Typically, you just want to make sure that you guarantee hit a vertical trait. And I lost this round just because I didn't roll fast enough, right? If I used my Epoch rolls earlier, I would have had Swain 2 and I probably would have won that round. So that's a huge mistake on my part. I'll point it out, obviously. But the idea is that I just want to be as strong as possible every single round so that I can make it into the late game. And that's the strategy that I think I default to the strategy most of the time when I have let him cook, because I feel like the other ones are just too high variance. There have been so many times where I have 2 witchcraft spats and I never find a Morgana. There have been so many times where I have 2 frost spats and I never find a Diana. This guy, for example, is going to win the lobby because not only did he took Beggars Can Be Choosers, so he had the plan of taking the silver augment, and then Beggars Can Be Choosers lets you reroll your augments. So he literally milled the deck for Royal Guard, which sucks for me, because this guy's just so fucking strong, and he's gonna win the lobby for sure, right? I would be surprised. Look at this guy's name, Winter. I'm guarantee you now, Winter is going first, right? If Winter doesn't go first, so be it. You know, fucking delete my YouTube channel. I don't know. I don't remember if they win or not. I'm pretty sure that guy won the game. He has 2 fairy crowns. 2 fairy crests. He high rolled into them. Because he needed to get the tier to make both of them. So he got dropped 2 tiers. He was greeting the first round. It worked out. He reforged, so he was able to get the 2 spatulas. And he has Royal Guard, which is like one of the best things you can hit with Fairy. So barring that guy just never hitting Milio, he wins the lobby. It's decided already, right? Now, obviously, depending on your elo, I'm not going to make it seem like overly bearing. I'm not going to try and be like rude about it, obviously. But like, you know, I'm playing in a lobby where I feel confident that the people have the skill to convert a winning spot to a win. Obviously, like, you know, if people are less familiar with the game, they don't know the exact placements of units, what items to put on units, things like that, right? If you're more beginner, more for fun, obviously you can lose in that type of spot. Obviously you can low roll, things can go poorly. I'm not saying that, right? Here also I took the silver augment. My board was strong enough, so I kind of greeted the silver augment. It gives me a support item, and it's actually, so I just take Locket. I know that maybe some of the other ones, like I think the treasure chest is a little bit better in stats than Locket, but I'm kind of down to just have like impenetrable front line and try and win a lot of these rounds. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that in my lobby, that's basically a win. If that's not a win in your lobby, that's fine. I remember I was reading a Discord yesterday because I was reporting the bug from yesterday, and there's this huge discussion on how 9 Fairy needs to get buffed. And I don't know anybody's personal experience about how 9 Fairy needs to get buffed, but I watched somebody's video, and they had Callista in the middle, and they had like a bunch of units unupgraded, and they were fighting against like, I think a Viger Vex board where everything was 3-starred. Like, and they lost, and they were upset that 9 Fairy didn't win. It's like, use your head, right? Is that a 9 Fairy problem, or is that like you just didn't like convert your position well enough? No offense to that person, but I'm just saying like 9 Fairy is very fucking strong. It averages like above a 2, right? If you have 9 Fairy, you're basically on average going first most of the time, right? there are very few boards that actually beat it. This guy, for example, he's playing towards 8 Witchcraft. Now, 8 Witchcraft is a little bit more awkward because I find that 6 Witchcraft isn't as strong as 7 Fairy, right? Before you actually hit the 5 cost, before you hit Morgana, or before you hit like your really strong unit, I find that 8 Witchcraft is a little bit harder to stabilize. It's just very annoying if they high roll, right? If you high roll into a Morgana, then already on level 8 you have the vertical, so it's very fucking strong, right? This is another guy that has a very good chance of winning the lobby. That's what I mean. These are the two strategies. It makes it very unfun, and it just comes down to if they high roll into it, right? If that guy just finds a Morgana, he probably wins the game. If the other guy just finds Emilio, he probably also wins the game, and it's just between them two for first, second. I am trying my best. Obviously, I trolled that one round that I didn't use my Apoc rolls. I would have had a Swain too. It's very hindsight, but that's why you have to be like very fast APM. Don't spend too long making decisions, because if I spiked my board on this turn, I would have kept my win streak and I wouldn't have lost a single round, and that's what I was aiming for, right? Because I'm playing very tempo based. I'm playing very like try my best to hit a strong board and play around it. I have this shapeshifter line. I have a little bit of a preserver thing going on. I found 2 5 costs. So I'm high rolling for sure. Don't get me wrong. This is a very good spot. I'm in a very strong position. Excuse me. But basically, I can just play around this Briar because I already made a Bloodthirster. I'm looking at my other items. I have a TG. I maybe have like some sort of other item, and I'm just playing around Dragon here because I have the Smolder already. So as you can see, I'm just playing 4 Shapeshifter, 3 Dragon. It's not the strongest board. I'm still level 7, so I didn't even do my level 8 roll down yet. But I'm probably going to build around this board to try and make something that's somewhat usable. I sold a Hui earlier because of econ purposes. So it would be nice if I can get the Hui back, because then I can fit in Frost and Blaster, and it just kind of looks nice on the synergy sheet. But we'll see what board we end up making. I want to TG somebody probably because it keeps with the whole idea of me building towards tempo. But TG is a little bit awkward to make because I'd rather make a Last Whisper and then I can just play like a flex board of everything. Dual Q is really nice here because I would love to have an extra copy of a 5 cost. Because I'm playing like to try and build a strong board. Ideally I can also tempo and go 9. But it's very rare that I do that. But because I have the extra spot on my board, there's a good chance that I can fit in something nice. I find a Diana, which is perfect. Diana fits in very perfectly into my board. And my board, even though it's not like, you know, a meta board, it's not like anything's particularly great. I basically got extra components from Dual Q. I have an extra 5 cost that I can play on my board. And now I'm just trying to like come up with something. I got dropped double tier. So I decided that I'm just going to play around Karma. Karma's a very strong unit in a lot of different situations. You don't need to like force the exact situation that Karma is good in, because she'll be fine. So here I make, you know, Morello, good item on her, blue buff, and I consolidated my items and they worked out really well. I might end up losing 1 or 2 units to play. Like right now I have this Rakan that's useless, right? You have to remember that I have a Fawn. Fawn just stands for Force of Nature. That's what it used to be called. Everybody says it, so I'm just used to saying it as a Fawn. But I have the Tactician's Cape, Tactician's Crown. I have +1 on my team size. The Rakan is useless now. I'm not playing Zillion. I'm not playing Frost. I can easily fit in 6 Shapeshifter and make my front line a little bit stronger. And we probably have to roll a little bit just to stabilize stabilize better here. But we have good damage. We have good damage output. We have good units on our board. We are very strong. But the idea is that I probably just want to play 6 Shapeshifter. I can lose Diana as well as Rakan, 6 Shapeshifter, 3 Dragon, and a random Karma that just does a shit ton of damage. Totally fine board, right? Totally fine board to play. There we go. This is what I was saying before. 6 Shapeshifter, Locket, Impenetrable Frontline, Smolder. If we can get a Gwynso on Smolder, will be really great because then the damage will ramp up very nicely. And then we have Karma, who does damage over time. So she really wants to have these reliably strong frontline boards, which is really what we want. Here there's the Get a Frying Pan. These type of augments, these type of charms is what I hate the most in this game, because what ends up happening a lot of the time is that somebody doesn't even have, like, even if it wasn't Let Him Cook, like the Galaxy Let Him Cook, because a Frying Pan could turn into a Tactician's Crown. There are so many times where I'm playing the game and some guy just randomly has 9 Fairy because he finds either the Frying Pan or the Spatula, and then just late game just gets 9 Fairy for free. It is so ridiculous. So I hate it, right? I don't even know. I don't think this guy's not 9 Fairy yet. He's 7 Fairy, but his board's just way stronger than mine because 7 Fairy already is going to be stronger than most boards because of how good it is. But we have a full bench. We have a lot of gold. I basically want to roll until I either hit like a Karma 2 or I hit some sort of stabilization point. Right now, my board is kind of a bit ragtag. Just because like I'm playing this dragon. I don't really need to play dragon. It's just like I don't have somebody better than Smolder. I could play an Incanter instead of Smolder. I understand that. But at this point in time, it's like I'd rather I think Smolder just gives enough DPS, especially with 3 dragon upgrade. Smolder gets like an increase in damage amp, right? I'm pretty sure. Also, another Smolder in my shop is so tilting because there was a Smolder on carousel and I could have gotten Smolder 2 by now, but it's totally fine. I don't have items for him anyways. Here we just make Runans. I should put these items on Briar. I don't know how. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say there's a adjacent shop, so I can finally switch the items off. I had a remover at one point. I just don't know who I think I used it on the Swain. But basically, I'm just gonna roll here. I'm trying to find some sort of upgrade. Right, I'm holding on to Varus because maybe I can play Varus, like Blaster as the backline as well. But basically, I'm gonna itemize this Briar. Even a Briar 1 is fine. I could put the Runans on the Smolder because he just likes attack speed a lot of the time. But like I said here, this is the point in the game where we're going to be expected to start losing rounds. We were tempoing up until now. Now whenever you play like this very aggressive play style, as you can see, I slammed a bunch of items. My items aren't perfect. I don't have the best items on everybody. I don't have the best units, but that's what usually happens, right? If you don't have direction and you have to play a very flexible board, this is an example of playing a flexible board. A Fawn or a Tactician's Crown or Tactician's Cape, whatever you want to call it. Also, I high rolled a fucking Smolder with no items, but whatever, we'll take it. And I get another Smolder. I have fucking 4 Smolders. I'm going for Smolder 2 or Smolder 3 by now. Like, it's crazy. And then I also find this dude. I don't know how I'm finding so many 5 costs on level 8. I genuinely don't understand it. This was probably one of my most high roll games in terms of finding 5 costs. But anyways, what I was trying to say is that a lot of times if you're trying to play around tempo and you're trying to preserve HP early, your item slams aren't going to be perfect. And that's okay. Because the whole point of what I was doing early game is that I wasn't aiming to go first. I wasn't aiming to win every single fight and just 100 streak the whole game. What I was aiming to do is preserve enough HP so that I have enough time to do this. To dilly-dally, to figure out what units to play, to put things on different units, and then if I have enough time to construct a board, so for example, here I'm playing 6 Shapeshifter, 3 Dragon with a random Karma. It's not the greatest board, it's not optimal. I'm sure you can find a more optimal board. I don't think it warrants me playing a Syndra instead of this Smolder, right? The Smolder does more damage than the Syndra. It might help my Karma do a little bit more damage, but Smolder is Smolder. Smolder with 3 Dragon, he gets 30% damage amp. He's gonna be strong, and I can find Smolder items later. I played this whole game around Shapeshifters, so I'm just building a wall of a front line with this 6 Shapeshifter, and it gives my backline enough time to do damage to win the fight. That's a flexible enough board that I should be fine to just sit and chill and, you know, win a lot of these rounds and save HP, right? The 9 Fairy guy, sure, he can win the game, but this was a very consistent strategy, right? Obviously, if I didn't hit these 5 stars, I wouldn't be winning all of these fights, but if I start the game out with 80 HP, even if I lost 2 or 3 fights, I would still be in like the top 4 cutoff by far, right? That's the whole point about it. Obviously, because I high rolled, I'm still at like number 1 HP. But the idea is that all of these people, look, this guy already died, right? Because he just didn't hit. He tried to play around a vertical trade, he didn't hit. These guys, they're not hitting, right? They might hit and then they make a comeback, but you need HP as well, right? This is the Winter guy. The Winter guy was the guy I said is probably going to win the lobby. Do you think he's going to win the lobby? I think he's going to win the lobby. I don't see any way because 7 Fairy is so stable. That's like the biggest thing, right? 6 Witchcraft isn't that stable. It's like pretty good. It's like really good in some lobbies, but you can lose a lot of fights playing 6 Witchcraft. So until you find the Morgana and you can convert it to 8 Witchcraft, there's a good chance you can just lose out. 7 Fairy is so fucking strong that you will be able to convert that to a win. Also, I think I lost this fight. This guy like has so many fucking emblems, by the way. He took like an extra warrior emblem. I think he reforged one of them, and he found an extra fucking Tactician's Crown. He had like he had a Arcana spat, so he just got a bunch of extra damage. But either way, that's fine. Hopefully the point that I'm making, or the point that I was trying to make, comes through. Like what I'm trying to explain here, right? Here I'm debating if now I play the dragon or this because, you know, I'm unsure. I think I just want to level here. because I'm not going to play Varus ever. I'm just going to level for Encanter to boost my board a little bit. Because like I said, I just want to make sure that I guarantee win these next couple rounds. But like I said, 7 Fairy is... The reason 9 Fairy is such a problem is because 7 Fairy is so stable, right? Because 7 Fairy is so strong, it makes it so hard. Like it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be able to go 9. They're going to be so stable on level 7, they're going to win most of their fights that it'll just be a fucking dilemma. This guy's 8 Witchcraft, by the way. So I don't think I beat 8 Witchcraft, but as you can see, it's a lot less stable, especially if you don't have like full upgrades. But like I said, the people that hit the vertical traits, they're going to win the fights. Do you think this guy's going to outplace me? This guy is stronger than me, right? I can't really make my board that much stronger. I kind of committed to this like realm of line. Also, I think that instead of Encanter, Chrono is probably better. Chrono gives AP. So the Encanter AP that just like ramps up over time, I think it's just more value to put in Chrono because it also gives the passive healing to my team, which is really big because I have shapeshifters. So ideally, I'm going to switch this Syndra out for a Chrono user. And also, I really, really want to have Smolder items. If I can get like a Gwynsu or some bow items on Smolder, I'll also be a lot happier. But like I said before, I don't expect to win this lobby. But the guy that's 8 Witchcraft, right? That guy's losing to the 9 Fairy guy, right? If the guy hits 9 Fairy, that guy loses. So they're all going to cannibalize each other. Right? All I'm doing is I'm just here for the ride. I'm like, hey, if I can beat some low roller, I'm down. Like, look at this guy. I beat this guy, I'm down, right? I'm just going to get my 2nd place and get out. That's the strategy of the game right now. I'm just going to get my 2nd place and I'm going to get out. Now, there's a Smolder with a TG. I can just take the TG for Smolder. There's also a Last Whisper, which would be good on Smolder. Any bow item or anything like that would be nice. So I'd probably take this. Oh, I don't take it. Do I take Gunblade? I don't think it's Gunblade there. Why did I take Gunblade? I should have taken Last Whisper. That's my bad. Oops. Small mistake. But like I said, who's going to win the lobby? I'm pretty sure this guy's 9 Fairy. I'm pretty sure he's 9 Fairy. If he's not 9 Fairy already, he's fucking strong as shit anyways, and he's going to hit it eventually. But this is like the strategy. I just want to make a video about this because, you know, I'm taking my break from TFT, so I'm trying to give you guys tips and something useful. This isn't some crazy game where everything like worked out magically and I high rolled. Like, obviously I high rolled a lot with like these units. But this is just to show you how to play around a lobby where you know that other people are gonna win and you're just playing for placements. Obviously, if I didn't hit all of these 5 cards, if I didn't have Smolder 2, if I didn't have Briar 2, I would have lost a couple fights. But even if I lost 1 or 2 fights, I would still be playing for like top 4. I would still be playing for 4th in this relative lobby. As you can see, like this guy, I think this guy's the Witchcraft guy. I'm not sure. This guy's the guy I just played, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is the Witchcraft guy. The Witchcraft guy lost to the Winter, the Fairy guy, right? That's gonna happen. And that's what I'm saying. The Fairy guy is going to be stronger than everybody. That's fine. I couldn't really play Fairy this game. I didn't have an opener that allowed me to play Fairy, right? If I got dropped a tier and I had a Katarina, you bet your bottom dollar I would play towards Fairy instead of making a Tactician's crown. But in this case, it's like, okay, this is the best I can do, right? We'll try our best. Now I'm playing the Witchcraft guy. The Witchcraft guy, because he high rolled, but he didn't high roll that hard. He's still level 8. You have to roll to stabilize. So he has a Morgana 2. He might still beat me, by the way. There's a good chance he beats me, but there's a chance I beat him just because of how far behind he is, right? Witchcraft works by stunning your opponents, right? It makes it so that the curse, they turn into frogs, and it does that crazy shit, right? As you can see, my dude turned into a frog. The reason, see, he still won, but it was very close. The reason it's very close is because Witchcraft sucks, right? You shouldn't look at that and say, wow, Witchcraft is so bad. It needed 2 spats. I have a Briar 2, a Smolder 2, and I'm level 9 with a Fawn. I have +2 units, right? Of course the fight's going to be close. That guy's level 8, right? If he was level 9, it wasn't going to be close. If he's level 10, if he has the same amount of units as me, it's not going to be close, right? That's just the trade-off, right? Witchcraft is a little bit weaker, but it is very strong in most other lobbies. You shouldn't look, that's what I mean. Like, look at it for what it is, right? That guy, I almost beat him. Yes, it's not because Witchcraft is weak. It's because my board is fucking strong as shit. It's just that I can't compete with vertical traits because the vertical traits are all fucking really strong. They're all really, really broken. right? And that's how they should be to a certain degree, but like, you know, there's a certain point where it's like unfun in galaxies like this where you guarantee have people that hit vertical trades. And that's what I said. That's why we played towards tempo. If you don't think that you have a spot where you can win the lobby, you just play like this, right? That's like the general strategy. If you do not think that you can win the lobby, just play for second, right? This whole game, what was my strategy? Play for second. This guy is gonna lose to the fairy guy. One of them is gonna lose, right? One of them is gonna beat the other one. I'm just here for the ride. I'm just like, hey, don't mind me. I'm just gonna get my second and I'm gonna get out. Proceed, you know? Have fun, do your shit, rock it out. Like, you know, go for whatever units you want to go for. Have fun. It's totally chill. I'll just get second and I'll FF, you know, it's fine. Right? We're good. I'm happy. I'm happy for this winter guy. Go ahead. You know, not every game is a high roll. Not every game is a low roll. This guy, Diana 2, fairy emblem, unkillable with the fucking radiant fairy's armor. It's impossible, right? I'm never going to beat it, right? It's not even close. Right? If I try and fight this Diana, it's not even close. It will never be close, and there's no hope in this game. But I got second, and that's good. That's good. Are you happy with the second? If I could go second every single game, I wouldn't be hard stuck in diamond. I'd be master already. But also, like, I'm kind of tilted because, like, you know, the bug incident that happened yesterday, I'm not playing anymore. So I'm gonna be, you know, if you look at my tracker, I'm gonna be in diamond for the next 2 weeks. I'm not playing anymore on this patch. I'm gonna play next patch. I'm just going to focus on YouTube content. I'll do a couple of tutorials for everybody, which is really fun and exciting. But yeah, see here I tried to get like the Briar to wrap a little bit. It's not even close, right? How many units did I kill? I didn't even kill the fucking support golem. You know what I mean? It's fucking chalked, right? He also has Royal Guard, by the way, which is really scary. I don't usually hear what I would do is I would just roll the 0 to try and hit like a 3-star forward cost or something. Maybe I can cheese a victory. There's nothing really to roll for because I'm so low on gold. But you know, a lot of times in these type of situations, I think the good courtesy thing to do is to I usually open up chat because usually I deafen chat. I usually open up chat and I say, are you like going for YouTube or something, or do I just FF? Because I don't want to waste his time, but at the same time, if he's like going for like a clip or he's trying to make like a TikTok or something, I don't want to be the one to like deny him the last round, like kill me off, win round screen, you know what I mean? So usually I'll ask them first when it's something like this. I know it's unwinnable. I'm not rolling for that. I think I was just too dialed in, you know, in my head. There is one charm that you can cheese with. There's the charm where it makes you take less damage now. So you can go for that sometimes, but I was just rolling a little bit, seeing if I find some karmas. But yeah, what did I say? Somebody's going to hit 9 fairy and somebody's going to win. That's pretty much happens every single time in Let Him Cook, unless they get really, really unlucky. Because the only way the fairy guy doesn't stabilize if he doesn't hit 7 fairy, right? Like if he doesn't find any Callistas on his roll down or any Rakans, and then they lose out in the mid game and they can't make it to level 9. But a lot of times, if you find 1 copy of Rakan, 1 copy of Callista, you're stable, you go straight to 7. Right? Like look at this guy. This guy did the wrong strategy. No offense to him. I'm not trying to roast him in any way, shape, or form. But this is what you don't do. Right? You don't try and play Callista and make multi-striker and a fairy +1. You just reforge this, make 2 fairy emblems. This guy made a preserver emblems. Does not matter. That's not going to help him. This guy was the other temple player. He was just less fortunate. I think he tried to play too hard towards like a difficult line. I don't know what it was. I think it was that he was playing Karma and he was super contested and wasn't super stable. Right? Because I played Karma. This guy played Karma and hit. And like when you're playing tempo, you can't really like fizzle on one unit. I think this guy was like hard forcing towards this line in particular. I have the same type of items, right? But I just like found Briar. Like if it wasn't Briar, it would have been somebody else. I would have itemized Diana, for example. Right? It's just a matter of like when you're playing like that type of aggressive tempo, you just have to make sure that your board makes coherent sense, right? Don't just play units because it's a board that you know. It's like play units because they work well together, right? Like Smolder upgraded, Briar upgraded, I was fine, right? I high rolled enough. If I didn't high roll that hard, I would have played for 4th, right? We would have just rolled for charms, not go level 9. But we just guarantee a second and that's it. And that's how these games usually go. I really don't like the Let Him Cook portal. I hate it. I wish it was gone. That's just me. I feel like all of these games are miserable. They're never fun. This wasn't particularly fun for me. even though I went second. And usually just comes down to who hits the vertical trait, and I don't like games like that. I don't like games where it's like 2-1, like start of the game. Oh, let's cross our fingers, let's hope and see who hits the vertical trait. It's like, no, I'd rather just like play like a constantly evolving, interesting game, you know? But it's fine. It's totally fine. If you enjoy this, make sure to like and subscribe. If you enjoy the portal, by all means, pick it every single time you play your game. I'm not a dictator. I say what I like, you say what you like, you do what you like, and that's the glory of being the world, and we can both be happy. We can both be happy and joyous in life. So, you know, go off, kings and queens in your TFT communities. Just know that if you're playing this is a strategy that you can use. It's a strategy that's very, very commonly used nowadays. Just tempoing with a extra unit on your board. Make it so that you win a lot of early game fights and then play for placements at the end. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and goodbye, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully I can make a guide for tomorrow. I'm going to be working on Ornn artifacts, as well as a reroll guide and a 4-cost guide that will be coming out over the course of next week, so please stay tuned for those as well. I've been promising them from many patches ago, and I'm finally going to have time to do it because I am not playing this patch because of the bugs. So just have fun, and I'll see you around.